This famous painting of an empty pavilion situated in a sparse landscape is by 14th century Chinese painter Ni Zan. Ni Zan is considered to be one of the most influential painters in Chinese history, and he lived during the Mongol-ruled Yuan dynasty. The painting, titled Rongxi Studio, is a representative example of traditional Chinese ink painting. But what is traditional Chinese ink painting? A traditional Chinese ink painting is made with an ink brush and ink on paper or silk. The Chinese ink brush is the same brush that is used for writing, or Chinese calligraphy, and can vary in size, texture, and material. The fact that a writing brush is used for traditional ink painting explains why you can see every individual brushstroke in a landscape painting like Ni Zan's and other Chinese ink paintings. In Rongxi Studio, which is painted on paper, Ni Zan only employed black ink, but colored pigments could also be used. Traditional artists like Ni Zan produced their ink from a solid ink stick made from pine soot and a binder or a glue by grinding it into an inkstone, a stone mortar, and mixing it with water. To create different shades, the ink could be diluted by adding more water. Colored pigments were made from plants and minerals. For example, cinnabar or mercury sulfide mixed with glue was used to create red ink sticks, while azurite, a copper mineral mixed with glue, was used to create blue ink sticks. On Ni Zan's painting, you can see red stamps at the top and at the sides that have Chinese characters written in them. These are ownership stamps or seals, and in this case, the red color is derived from a cinnabar paste rather than an ink. There are many different formats of traditional Chinese ink painting. Ni Zan's landscape is mounted onto a hanging scroll, which is a vertical format painting that can be hung up on a wall for display and then rolled up for storage. The handscroll is another traditional format, but is more intimate. Handscrolls are horizontal and are unrolled from right to left, section by section, held in the hands or laid flat on a table. Other media include album leaves and fans. Every traditional Chinese ink painter has their own style. Ni Zan was known for his formulaic compositions and sparse brushwork. His landscape compositions are formulaic because they can be divided into thirds, from bottom to top. In Rongxi Studio, we see land, trees, and an empty pavilion in the foreground, water in the midground, and low, rolling mountains in the background. He used the same formula over and over again. His landscape paintings have an almost unfinished look to them, as if he sketched out his initial composition and meant to come back to fill in more details, but never did. Ni Zan used a dry brush to create landforms and trees, and a wet brush to add abstract smudges of ink that dot the landscape and add visual interest. He used thin iron wire lines, or lines that do not vary in width, to illustrate the empty pavilion and negative blank space to render water. This is a generic landscape, or a mined landscape, meaning it does not represent a real location. An inscription on the painting informs us that the original owner, a friend of Ni Zan's, gave the painting to a mutual doctor friend who asked Ni Zan to later add a poem at the top. Ni Zan named the doctor's residence, Rongxi Studio, or Studio with Room for the Knees, in the poem, giving the painting a new title.